global issues are for the world and all humanities to know. To the world and all humanities. Do you know that the biggest, global and most expensive failure of man is irresponsibly being hidden to the world and to all humanities? Do you know that the world is currently floating at global intellectual crisis and intellectual bankruptcy because everything the atheistic theoretical science and theoretical mathematics have force-fed us in our schools about creation and evolution are all tested to be universally false, not true, rubbish, absurd, and just figments of delusional imaginations. Do you know that the atheistic Big Bang Theory tests failed and we are denied of this truth? Do you know that the atheistic Einstein's relativity theory and Einstein's EMC squared theoretical mathematical equation have both been tested as globally failed, absurd, inapplicable assumptions only, and technically wrong equation? The funny thing is, they know they failed, but they are still delusionally hoping their absurd theories would work. Unfortunately, under universal science, technically, they will never work, and they will never find success. Do you know that the atheistic theoretical science and theoretical mathematics for a century have converted more than 1.17 billion humanities to atheism and agnostics living? Do you know that there are 6 billion confused, educated monkeys in the churches today? And I am one of them. And there is 65 to 70% chance you are one of the confused, educated monkeys also, who have once believed in the ape evolution monkey theory, while we are disrespectfully slapping God in our church services, and loyally having two beliefs of creation and evolution. Do you know that the main reason why we are at global intellectual crisis is because of all these theories are now proven technically false, absurd, and rubbish by the Large Hadron Collider project? These theories, such as the Big Bang Theory, the Einstein's relativity theory, the Einstein's EMC squared mathematical equation theory, the fusion theory, the science of the sun theory, the energy can render matter from EMC squared theory, the nuclear strong force theory, that man can harness the sun's energy theory, that theoretical mathematics like the EMC squared is the universal language of the universe theory, the Einstein's gravity bends space-time or time dilution theory, that the age of the universe is 14 billion years theory, etc., etc. Each of these theories will be presented in our engineering principle and law-based driven technical presentations. How they are all delusional assumptions, rubbish, and technically absurd. For them to stop deluding the world with delusional theories after delusional theories. See later on other presentations, and it will start with Einstein's delusional theories, because the world needs to learn laws of the universe before we all leave Earth. Not theories or pigments of imaginations of men, not delusions of men trying to be famous. And we are hoping the world understand in the end that our objectives is not to be famous, but to rescue the world using the third element of matter and energy towards the law of universality, and strategically roadmap the final intellectual renaissance of man. In addition, do you know that the Large Hadron Collider and all the particle accelerators global project are the biggest and most expensive $100 billion global failure project of man, initiated by the theoretical science and theoretical mathematics, but still no one had the guts to responsibly admit of their biggest global failure of science and man. Do you know that with this global crisis, and one of the global effects of inadmission is our children are still currently being force-fed with atheistic science theories that are technically proven not true and absorbed already by the Large Hadron Collider project? Do we all understand that with all these global failures, we have lost our universal key and universal foundation of the future? Do you know that right now, we don't have direction and no solution coming from the scientific community? What is next from this global crisis and global failures? Even no one from these atheistic theoretical scientists and theoretical mathematicians are doing the right thing to be responsible, to admit their global failures, but pretentiously as if nothing is wrong. Do you know that the worst thing after their global misachievement and global failure, along with the irresponsible inadmission, is they are still doing another global inhumane mistake? This is the global scapegoating their failure to another theoretical failure. In layman's term, these atheistic theoretical scientists and theoretical mathematicians have stopped driving or not driving the continuous improvement or evolution of the world towards universal truth, or for the world to be the best it can be, but rather continuously deluding the world with failures after failures, or with failure-driven theories after theories. Conclusively, it is no longer about the betterment of the world. Do you know that the purpose of these atheistic theoretical scientists and theoretical mathematicians' inhumane scapegoating acts is to hide their biggest and most expensive global failures? The biggest failure of man in science, that for 20 years of testing using the Large Hadron Collider, they never found any result or breakthrough from their list of theories supposed to be tested, such as the Big Bang theory, the Einstein's relativity theory, the Einstein's EMC squared theory, the science of the sun theory, the fusion theory, that man is son of the sun and nothing but ash particles theory from the Big Bang supernova explosion theory, that mere energy can render mass and matter from Einstein's EMC squared theory, the delusional Einstein's time and space are interconnected theory, the Einstein's gravity warps time and space theory, that man is hydrogen made because hydrogen is theorized to be the base alchemy element that can transform to all elements theory, the black hole is also false theory because Einstein's time and space gravity warping theory also failed in the Large Hadron Collider. The universe is 14 billion years old theory, technically tested false by scaling with ratio and proportioning of size of particle to Earth, is not even enough for 14 billion years to build. That fusion is 5 times more powerful than nuclear fission theory, as no fusion energy went breakthrough in the LHC's sun harnessing testings, etc., etc., etc. All technically tested failed in the Large Hadron Collider project. But now, while no one is responsibly admitting their global failures in the Large Hadron Collider testings of all these absurd theories checklist, conspicuously and deceptively, the atheistic theoretical scientists and theoretical mathematicians are pretentiously portraying and presenting an absurd, jubilating, and crowd-clapping scientific breakthrough and success presentation using the Large Hadron Collider test. They call it the ironically mass-producing but decaying Higgs boson or God particle theory and the dissipating Higgs field theory. All nothing but another delusional theories again. The LO+VE and universal science platform calls this absurd God particle theory the great scapegoating theory. That is, scapegoating from all their global failures in the Large Hadron Collider testings, from all their atheistic theories of creation and evolution. How can it be scientific breakthrough if it does not have actual proofs, evidences, and applications of these delusional assumptions of mass rendering? Where is the claimed mass produced? This is not in space, this is on Earth. Show it to us. How big is the mass rendered now? They cannot present anything because it only decays. And they are technically lying and scapegoating only. Do you know, even if the world don't appreciate us now, this will be the key and baseline for the world to start knowing your global failures, and the key for the future to abolish the theoretical science and theoretical mathematics, and to consider it as nothing but delusional science and mathematics. Because our LO+VEism's universal science already considers you in the history books, not in the trash cans or recycle bins, because we are still paying respect to your efforts of showing us the utmost limits of man is not enough to challenge God. But we are still grateful for indulging the expected greatest failures of man and science that taught the world to be humble and be responsible. The truth will set you free, and the world will soon be free, eventually, from your delusional atheistic theories. Who amongst you who would start responsibly telling the truth? Do you know they present this scapegoating God particle to show the investors that the Large Hadron $5 billion biggest machine failure is not really a global humiliation and global failure, though in fact it is. They present this so they can ask more budgets to fund for a bigger, larger, Large Hadron Collider project for more investors to waste their money and for a much larger global failure. To all these investors, stop it, sirs and madam. Stop wasting your energies and investments to these atheistic theoretical scientists and theoretical mathematicians' failure-driven theories. You can be part in this universal project for humanity that is law and world-class driven and culture building the world.